we're going to be looking at how we can multiply mixed numbers. So the problem with multiplying mixed numbers is that when two numbers are in mixed number form, let's say 4 and 2/5 and 1 2/3, there's no good way to multiply these as they are. So we're going to turn them into a form that is much easier to work with for calculations, that being improper fractions. So our steps are pretty simple. We're going to convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. We will multiply the numerators and the denominators. We'll simplify the fraction and then convert it back into a mixed number for our final answer. So let's go ahead and do those things. So our first step here is to convert the mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I take both of these, 4 and 2/5 and 1 and 2/3, and we're going to convert them. So we do 4 times 5, which is 20, plus 2, and that equals 22. And we keep the same denominator of 5. We'll do the same process. We'll multiply 3 times 1, which is 3, and then add 2, which gives us 5. So 5/3. So step 1 is done. We've turned both mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now step 2, we will multiply. So we'll take 22/5 times 5/3. Now we'll have to do a little bit of calculation here. We'll have to do 22 times 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 again, and 11. So we have 110. 110 is our numerator because 22 times 5 is 110. Our denominator will be 5 times 3, which is 15. So this is our raw answer, but it's not in a final form yet. We don't want to leave our answers as improper fractions. We also don't want to leave them unsimplified. And we can do those two steps in whatever order we want to. We can simplify and then convert back, or we convert and then simplify. I like to simplify first. So let's simplify 110/15. So let's take 110 over 15. And think, what can I divide 110 and 15 by? Well, they're both multiples of 5, so let's divide them by 5. Let's divide both of those numbers by 5. I know that 15 divided by 5, well, that's simple. That's going to be 3. 110, that's a little more complicated, so we'll just do that over here. Divide that by 5. 5 goes into 11 twice. 2 times 5 is 10. 11 minus 10 is 1, bring down to 0. 5 goes into 10 twice, so 22. All right, so it's simplified, but it's still improper. So our last step, number 4, is to convert it back into either a whole number, if it turns out to be a whole number, or a mixed number. So let's take 22/3 and convert that into, it's going to end up being a mixed number. So the way we do that is we divide 22 by 3. So we'll do 22 divided by 3. All right, we know that 3 goes into 22 7 times. 7, 14, 21. 22 minus 21 gives us 1. So our remainder here will be the numerator. The 1 comes up as our numerator, and our denominator is the divisor here, or it's the same denominator that we had before, thirds. So 4 and 2/5 times 1 and 2/3 equals 7 and 1/3. 7 and 1/3. But let's see how we can do the same process, but with division. The only difference with dividing mixed numbers compared to multiplying mixed numbers is that there's an extra step in here, because we know the only difference between multiplying and dividing fractions is that you need to flip the second fraction. So you can see here that our second step here is to flip the second fraction. But all the rest of the steps are the same. We are still converting the mixed numbers into improper fractions. We are still multiplying. We are still simplifying and converting. But let's do all these steps with the sample problem. So let's say we've got 3 2/4 divided by 2 1/2. Just like with multiplying, we're going to first convert them into improper fractions because improper fractions are way easier to work with. So we're going to do our conversions here. So 3 2/4 and 2 1/2. So let's start at the bottom and we work our way around. First we multiply and then we will add. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 2 equals 14. But we keep the same denominator, fourths. Now let's do the same thing for 2 1/2. Start with 2. We're going to multiply by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And then we add the numerator. 4 plus 1 gives us 5. And we keep the same denominator, 2. Okay? Exactly the same as before. But now we get to our second step. We'll mark that as our first step. And this is our second step. Flip the second fraction. Second fraction was the 2 1/2, which we converted to 5 halves. So we're going to take 5 over 2, and we're just going to flip it. We're going to flip it. The 5 will go on the bottom now of the new fraction, and the 2 will go on the top. So this is our flipped second fraction. Third step, let's go ahead and multiply. So we're going to take the 14/4 that we had before, which was 3 2/4. Now we will multiply by 2/5. This is pretty simple multiplication here. Nothing too terribly complicated. 14 times 2 is going to give us 28. And 4 times 5 is going to give us 20. So we have a fourth step. Like I said before, you can simplify and convert in either order. They're not going to change the value of the answer. But like I said, I like to simplify before I convert back. So we have 28 20ths. 28 20ths. Now what can I divide 28 and 20 by? 28 and 20 by. I could do 2, but I recognize that both of these are actually divisible by 4. 20 is a multiple of 4, and 28 is a multiple of 4. So let's just do those two things in one step. We would go by 2 and then by 2 again, or we can just divide them both by 4. We know that 20 divided by 4 is going to give us 5. And 28 divided by 4, well, that's going to give us 7. All right, so last step, fifth. Let's convert 7/5 back into a mixed number. Back into a mixed number. So we just do 7 divided by 5. We do 7 divided by 5. All right, 5 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract. So we get a remainder of 2. We get a remainder of 2. So we need to take these and assemble our answer. So 2 will become the numerator of the fraction, and 5 will be the denominator. So 3 2/4 divided by 2 1/2 equals 1 2/5. So once again, the only extra step you need to do for dividing mixed numbers is to flip that second fraction. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as multiplying mixed numbers.